In this video, I am going to be talking about real estate investing, and I am going to be giving you the complete breakdown of exactly how real estate investing works and how you make money. I'm going to show you the real numbers. I'm not just going to tell you how to do real estate investing. I'm going to show you exactly how the numbers work. The reason why I'm doing this is because I was just recently on a show called Turd Flinging Monkey, TFM, and the dude is a complete idiot. He is a complete idiot in many ways. One of them is investing, and he actually made a video going over why real estate investing doesn't work, and it's pretty idiotic, honestly. I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to get the physique you want, how to get the girls you want, and how to go from the victim mindset to the bulldog mindset. So if you are all about that, click that subscribe button. Join us on this quest. We are going to listen to the video, or at least parts of this video, and I'm just going to straight up debunk this video because it's what needs to be done in this case here. So he made this video, Turd Flinging Monkey, okay? This guy, by the way, also advocates sex dolls, okay, over women. So we're gonna start from the beginning here, and
hello everyone, and welcome to Monkeynomics 101. Today we're going to talk about why, and this is so obvious that I can't believe I have to make a video on this, but this is why debt is not wealth. You are not rich when you owe a bunch of debt. This should be common sense, but somehow the message didn't get out, and people think that having a bunch of debt means that they're millionaires.
And by the way, we're watching this on 2x speed, so if you're watching me on 2x speed, you're watching him on 4x speed, just so you know.
I mean, this is just my opinion. The definition of net worth is assets minus liabilities. So let's say you have a house worth $1 million, but you owe $900,000 on that house. You put up $100,000, you owe $9. You know what your net worth is? $100,000.
Yes, exactly. So he's exactly right here, starting out okay, and you know he's saying this because he's attacking me because I embarrassed him on his little show with his little friends. How about this? How about let's take a look at my average monthly income from real estate. Okay, so I've been tracking this for a long time, since 2010. Okay, and you know some of these were negative when I was highly leveraged, and some of these weren't paid off, and you know, and some of it just went. This is the net, right? By the way, this is like the cash flow net of real estate that I got. And I do, you know, for that month, and I do the 12-month average, the 12-month total, 24-month average. So I can kind of predict the future, like what my running average is on 24 months. It gives you the best prediction, right, of what you could expect. So there was some period of time, right, in 2012, where I was in the red here on a lot of the real estate. I had a couple of good months finally, and then, you know, this is the thing about real estate investing is it snowballs over time, right? I bought a few more properties. I paid off some properties, right? I did some different investments, and you can see like I'm tracking every month. Now, yeah, obviously I could make up this data, but that would be pretty fucking stupid to make up like years and years worth of data. Okay, so you can see here, you know, it's growing and growing and growing, and there's some spiky revenue here. That's simply because I was selling a bunch of properties and investing in some commercial properties, and I don't even have the data inserted here, but basically I'm making somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 a month in passive. This is net, by the way. Look, you can kind of see here actually. So we can look at the 24-month average, and it was $10,478. Okay, this is after all expenses and everything. This is just cash I put in my pocket, and it's also tax-free cash because of depreciation. So just to show you guys that I'm not full of shit here, right? And you know, as far as the net worth goes, I could show you that, you know, the value of these properties is worth, the equity in these properties is worth over $3 million. Let's move on.
It's not $1 million. You don't own the goddamn house, the bank does. Your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities.
So he's wrong about you not owning the house and saying that the bank does. Most of the time you do own the house and you do own the title. Like having a loan on a property does not mean you don't have ownership. Having ownership over an asset is also not as important as having control. Control is way more important. Most billionaires do not actually own anything. They actually borrow everything against their assets or their potential assets and live off of that because they have control over things, right? That's why options are so powerful. You want to have control over things, not necessarily ownership. That's the best position to be in. But you do own a property when you buy it.
So the asset is the house, but you only have $100,000 in equity. The $900,000 is mortgaged. So your net worth is only $100,000. You're not a goddamn millionaire because you own an asset, but you really don't own it. You're just holding it. The bank actually owns it. So dumb. Anyway, There's this concept, and it's usually young guys who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They have no background in finance or economics or business or investing or anything. They listen to goddamn fucking YouTubers, blowing smoke up their fucking asses and trying to get them into trouble, selling them bullshit dreams. So I'm here to be the rain cloud on your fucking parade.
By the way, this is his fake girlfriend, his AI girlfriend, because he doesn't actually associate with women. He has a sex doll.
And wake you up about how things actually work in the real world. There's a little calculator, and what it does is you put in your initial investment, you put in your cash flows, then you put in the amount you're going to sell the asset for down the road, and it will give you your internal rate of return.
Okay, so I was actually glad to see him using a calculator here. This is good. Okay, but let's see. There's some fallacies in what he's saying.
The internal rate of return, or IRR for short. This is one of those foundational metrics that we happen to use on every single property that we analyze for clients. Now, the technical definition is a bit of a head scratcher. It says that the IRR is the discount rate that makes the net present value of all of your cash flows over your holding period equal to zero. I know, seriously. What? Okay. The way that I like to think of it is it's telling us what our average annual return is when the time value of money is factored in.
So what he's saying there is it's your average annual, if your average return when you consider what you could have gotten for that money if you had like the standard rate of return or in inflation incorporated into that. So what did you actually make? What is your actual rate of return that you made on that money, right, per year?
We're going to look at an example property that's worth right now $500,000. So we have a $500,000 property. It's going to go up via the inflation rate. The current inflation rate is 1.5%. So at the end of 20 years, it's going to be worth $673,000.
Now, one thing he didn't mention here, which I kind of figured out finally, is that he basically is buying this property with no money down, I believe. It's kind of weird, or he's buying it completely cash. But we'll see. It's kind of weird, the numbers that he's plugged in here, right? Because he's showing like 40,000 of rental income. So he's showing having a mortgage on this, which I'm assuming he's assuming the mortgage for the full amount of the property, which you can't buy a property zero money down.
$427.50. So we're going to buy it at $500K. We're going to sell it in 20 years according to the inflation rate at $673,427.
Okay. And then here's the first problem is you're not going to sell it at the inflation rate of $673,427. Okay. If you look at historically what the average appreciation is, people argue between 3 and 4%, but it's somewhere between there. If we're really conservative, we would say that the average appreciation over a 20-year period would be 3% per year. Okay, and that compounds, obviously. So to say that it's just the inflation rate is not correct, and that's not even the correct inflation rate, but let's just pretend like it is, and it's fine. But essentially what I'm saying is that if you hold on to a $500,000 property, and you can just use the test of common sense here, do you really think in 20 years it's going to be worth $673,000? No, it's going to be worth a lot more than that, a lot more.
In the meantime, we're going to get cash flows based on our rental yield, and I have my assumptions on the side. We have an 8% rental yield, which equals...
Okay, now he's confusing something here with an 8% rental yield. I think he thinks that this is the cap rate, which it is not. So if you're buying an investment property, you're probably going to get, at the minimum an 8% cap rate for a single family or residential or, even a multi-unit residential property. You're not going to get a 8% rental yield at $40,000 per year. That would be pretty shitty off of a $500,000 property, right? A really, really good, rent would be to make like 1%, right? The 1% rule. So if you have your monthly rent being 1% of the purchase price, then that's a pretty good deal. You don't want to really do anything worse than like a 0.8. You're probably going to do like a 0.9, maybe 1%. Depends on the market. So when the market's up, you're going to find less good deals. When it's down, you'll find more. But between that range, you're still going to make money. But yeah, an 8% rental yield is not the same thing as a cap rate. So a cap rate is going to be what the net return is, right? So which is what he would have calculated here, besides the mortgage, okay, because the mortgage doesn't count, it's just for the property. So if we just took the rental income and then we subtracted expenses and we looked at the cash flow as a percentage of the price of the property or the value of the property, that would be a cap rate. So for example, if we have a $500,000 property and we want to figure out what the cap rate of that is, what it's going to be is it's going to be basically all of the income minus all of the expenses, not including the mortgage, because we're going to assume that we're not financing it in order to determine the cap rate. And that is going to tell us, what percentage of that is going to be equal to the actual price, right? So let's go on.
$40,000 a year in rental income. We're going to be paying a property management firm 15% of our rent, so that comes out to...
No. You're not going to pay a property management firm 15% of your rent. I always average or calculate 10%, but most property management companies are 7 or 8%. 10 is a safe number because you're going to have some additional fees from the property manager. 15 is not correct.
$6,000. We have a 1% annual maintenance cost, which comes out to
No, 1% annual maintenance is not correct. In this case, he's underestimated it. You should really have about a 5% annual maintenance of the rent, basically. Maybe he's doing it 1% of the property.
$5,000. Our mortgage is a 3.87% 20-year fixed rate mortgage. That's going to come out to $19,000.
Okay, a couple of problems here. One, I could give the 3.87% makes sense. The 20-year fixed mortgage is not correct. You're going to use a 30-year fixed mortgage on a residential property that you buy here. If he's looking commercial, it's a totally different story, and this is a completely different thing. You won't have property management. So he's like mixing things up here. You see what I'm saying? There will also be no annual maintenance on the triple net lease commercial property. But let's not complicate things too much. Let's just say that this should be a 30-year fixed rate.
$350 a year. And there is going to be an estimated vacancy rate based on averages of 6.8%, which, accounting for that, is going to cost about $27.20 a year.
Okay, so no, there won't be a 6.8% vacancy rate. On average, you should expect a 2 to 3% vacancy rate. If you had a really, really big building or you're doing commercial, it could be higher than that. But on average, you wouldn't really want something more than 3 to 5%.
So adding all that together, taking our $40,000 rental income minus our mortgage, property management fees, maintenance, and vacancy, we're going to come up with a cash flow of $6,930. We're going to use the required...
Okay, so he's got a cash flow of $6,930. That would be if you paid it, if you had this mortgage, whatever this mortgage is. I don't know how much. He didn't even say how much the down payment or anything was. So let's
rate of return of a 20-year treasury rate of 2.21%. This is basically the alternative to the opportunity cost for a risk-free rate. And again, we're going to assume an inflation rate of 1.5. We're also going to increase the rent by the inflation rate. So every year, we're going to increase our rental costs by 1.5. So we're going to pass on this inflation onto our renters. And they're going to pay a 1.5 higher rental fee every year until we sell the property after 20 years. So I have it all mapped out on the slide.
So he's actually made a big mistake here, which is, I mean, yes, the rent will go up every year based on inflation, but it'll also go up. It's more likely that it's going to go up based on the actual appreciation of the property, because if that weren't the case, you would eventually have cases where basically if the rent doesn't go up with the same as the appreciation of the property, think what will happen, right? What will happen, right? If the appreciation of the property goes up higher than the actual rent, then what would happen is that the prices of the property would increase so much that it would always make sense to rent because it'd be so expensive to buy a property. And that does happen in some geographic locations, but usually that's not the case, right? So again, I gave it a 3% appreciation. It should also be a 3% bump in the increase of rent. But what should actually tie to inflation are these expenses here, right? Because these expenses, not the percentage-based ones, but the expenses, and again, like property management fee is going to be percentage-based. So you can't just use this, like your cash flow is not going to be that simple to calculate. It's not just going to be the rents, because now your property management fee goes up every time and your maintenance fee goes up as the value of the property goes up. These things are all tied together. So you can't, like, this is a very oversimplification.
And the internal rate of return is 2.82%. That is
okay, so he's coming up with an internal rate of return of 2.82%. Completely off base, like so far off base that it's ridiculous. So let's jump over and let's look at some actual real numbers here. Okay, so I am using a piece of software called PropStream. Okay, if you want to check out this software, you can do analysis. This is really good software. I'll put a link in the description. There'll also be a link in the card. But this software will allow you to find properties, find the value of the properties. Basically, if you're looking to search for properties that you want to buy, make offers on properties, see properties that are off the market, all the tax information on the property, right? This is like a dream for searching for properties. I'm actually going to do a free webinar on how to use this software to actually watch me find a property live. What I've done here is I've put in the purchase price of the property, the investment property, okay? And I put the purchase price at $500,000, and then I put the estimated market value at $515,000. Now, the reason why I did this is because with this software, in the first year, it's going to calculate the purchase price. It's not going to give me the 3% appreciation unless I put it in here. Now, in reality, if you're buying a $500,000 property, right, what you would actually do is you'd probably buy it for $450,000, about 10% under market. Okay, that's typically how I would invest. Now, I have bought some properties at the actual market value when the market is super, super hot, but in general, that's what you want to do. Okay, you want to you make a lot of money when you buy, so you want to buy under market, lowball offers, you're at least going to get a 5% discount on the market rate of the property if you put any kind of effort into this and you immediately make money there. Okay, so that really covers all the transaction costs for your property. So that's what I kind of always say with that. So anyway, we can look at that. We're not going to do any repairs on the property. Okay, we're just going to take these numbers. Okay, then we're going to take a mortgage. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a down payment of $100,000. That's a 20% down payment. This is pretty standard, and this is what I would recommend. Okay, we are going to get a mortgage amount of $400,000. We're going to 3.87% rate like he had there. So our monthly payment is actually going to be $1,879.80. Okay, now I don't know what the fuck he was smoking here, where he got a 1930/50, which would be, what is 19,350 divided by 12? 1612. Okay, so he actually got a lower monthly payment, which doesn't make sense on a fucking 20-year loan. I don't know what kind of crack he was smoking, but maybe he put more money down. He didn't say how much money he put down, so this is kind of weird. I feel like he just pulled that number right out of his ass. So this is what we'll end up paying in interest, actually, and this is the total amount of payments that we'll end up paying. So it costs you a lot of money to buy a house. Well, you make money off of that money. We got the closing costs estimated here. I just left the standards in here. This is a little bit high, actually. It's probably not going to cost you this much in closing costs, honestly, but it's a decent amount to estimate. And like I said, you should be making your money here for the closing costs by purchasing the deal under market. Okay, so that's our mortgage. Okay, then we have our income. Now my gross monthly rental income, and I have a comparable property. I own several fourplexes that are in this price range. Okay, I have $4,500 here. Okay, so if you have a 4-unit building, okay, for $4,500 divided by 4, that's each unit renting at $1,125. That's pretty decent, pretty standard. I think that you could find that in the market. Maybe you're going to get less rent here, maybe slightly less. Maybe you could get $4,000 a month rent, but $4,500 is kind of the deal that I would be going for, and that's typically the cap rate that I'd be looking at for the property. Okay, something around there. You might see the cap rate here. This is actually taking into account a lot of other things. This isn't just the straight raw cap rate on this property, but it could be 10% cap rate would be fine, right? So something around there. Okay, so if we look at the detail breakdown here, I'm just going to put 1 unit. I'm not going to mess with that. We don't have any other income coming in here. We have management fees. We just have a property management fee of 10%. That is how we estimate it. And the annual rent increase, we're putting a 3% annual rent increase. Now, the next thing we're going to do is get expenses here. So what I've done here is some pretty default expenses, which is fire insurance for $100. Okay, $100 a month. It's probably cheaper than that. Property taxes, $494.17. That's probably just estimating like a 1% about per year property tax. Right around there, so that's probably pretty accurate. And then I did repairs and maintenance 200 and miscellaneous 200, right? So again, that's about 5% of the rents is what for each one of these, right? Maybe so around there is, and this is a good buffer, right? Like this is going to be a lot of months you're not going to pay $400 in repairs. Okay, some months you will. So it's good to have a little bit of a buffer here. Our expense increase is also going to increase by 3% per year, just to keep it right there. And typically though, this is not going to increase by 3% per year. Okay, it's going to be less than that, but just to keep everything in line with each other, we'll do that there, right? So I'm giving you the worst case scenario for this property, right? Then we're going to pretend like we're going to sell the property at so the starting value is going to be the market value, right? So this is going to be after 1 year, it's going to be worth $515,000. This is just how the software works. Really, we're buying it for $500,000. I know it's fine, but you'll see when we look at year 1 here. And then we're going to basically say that the property value is going to increase by 3% each year. Okay, which makes sense here. So sales costs, none. We're not going to put anything in there for now. We're not going to pay any taxes on this. And this is the other thing to understand about this kind of investment, about real estate investment, is we're never paying taxes on real estate investments, okay? What we're doing is we're doing a 1031 exchange, or we're doing a cash out refinance to get our money out of it. We're never paying taxes on real estate, okay? It's just dumb to do, okay? So we're going to do straight line depreciation over 27 and a half years. That means that every single year we are going to basically have a deduction on our taxes for the structural cost of the property divided by 27.5. Okay, this is what Uncle Sam allows us to do in U.S. tax law. And I made the depreciable amount be $400,000, assuming $100,000 land value of the property. This could be $450. You know, you can talk to your accountant and you can see how much risk you want to take with being aggressive with that number. But okay, so then we're going to do this for 20 years. That's how long you're going to hold the property before we sell it. Now we're going to look at the complete analysis of this property. Okay, and I'll bring that up now. So this is just showing you what you're paying for the property, right? Your closing costs, right? Your total investment would be $100,000 plus this $8,236. Usually you're going to roll this into the loan, but it doesn't matter. It's still investment in money that you're investing in it in one way or another. Now, we can look at the income. We already know what the income is, $4,500 a month. And again, you know, this could be $4,000. It could be $5,000. Right? It depends on how good of a deal that you get on the property. You know, either way, we could look, I'll adjust the number so you can see as well. What we're really interested in here is not even the tax deductions analysis. What we really want to see is the total like property sale, right? So here's some interesting facts just to start off. Okay, I'll go through these so you can just understand what's going on here. So purchase price is $500,000. This is the first year. If we sold 1 year, right? So we bought it this year, we sold next year. Okay, we would have purchased it for $500,000. Okay, we made no capital improvements in this time. We depreciated it again. Remember that 27 and a half year straight line depreciation. So we actually took out this money saying this is a loss on our tax return, although we didn't really lose this money. Okay, so this is where our tax basis is. This is for all purposes. Uncle Sam says this is how much you bought the property for after we've done a depreciation, because it's actually deferring taxes. We have paid some closing costs here. We haven't done any capital improvements. We had a down payment of $100,000 to buy this property. Okay, we have a first mortgage balance of $392,000 after the first year, because why? We've paid down some of the principal. Okay, this is another thing that he didn't count in his calculation here, right? There's a problem when you don't count the principal pay down, because you're paying down the principal. You don't just, this is not the end value here, okay? Unless he's assuming that you're paying this whole thing off in 20 years, I suppose, with 20-year fixed mortgage. Okay, so you have all the cash here. So his numbers are even more messed up based on that, okay? So what are we looking at here? All right, so now we're looking at the total expenses that we put in, okay, is $501,000, okay, plus this $8,236, okay? Now, our taxable gain, all right, that we made, because if we sold this property for $515,000 would be $21,309. But we're not going to pay any taxes on this because it balances out with our depreciation. Okay, this is if we sold it in the very first year, 1 year, okay, and appreciated 3%. So we made this many principal payments. We made this much in interest payments. We had operating expenses, right? All the operating costs of the property that we put in there, that we buffered into there. So our gross operating income in the first year is we made $54,000, okay? That's the gross, that's the rent we collected, okay? And then our net profit and loss. So in the first year, we made $14,112 in cash flow, essentially. We sold this for $515,000, okay? And that was our just a tax basis. So our total tax gain. So we're not including any tax liability in this calculation here, because we're assuming it's getting wiped out by depreciation, okay? Because we made this money, but we lost the money from depreciation. Or actually, in this case, since we're selling the property, if we're selling in the first year, we're going to 1031 exchange this into another property, or we're going to cash out refinance. I'm just showing you how much money you potentially make in the first year, okay? We wouldn't really sell it in the first year, not for this, okay? So, but if we sold it for $515,000, which is a 3% raise in value, okay, then you can see that the net profit or loss on our money is $28,000. Now, if you invest $100,000 and in 1 year you get back $128,000, you get a $28,000 profit, what is your rate of return? How much money did you make on your money? Simple, 28%. You made 28% on your money, okay? Because you invested $100,000 and we're $108,000. Okay, so you made slightly less than 28%, right? 27 something percent, okay? That's what you made on your money. This is just the only thing that happened was this property went up 3%, okay, in value, which is below the average, right? 3.9 is what they were saying was the national average for the last 25 years, okay? So this is just a 3% value increase. The reason why is because you're leveraged. This is why you borrow money from the bank, is because if you own this property straight out, if you paid $500,000 for it, if you got 3% appreciation, got $15,000, okay, you would just gain $15,000, which would be a 15% return on your money, okay, or not a 15%, a 3% return on your money, okay? If you made $15,000 off of $500, but because you've only invested $100,000 and that the bank paid for everything else, okay, you actually make a much higher return. Plus, you got some cash flow in your pocket, right? Remember, we said we had $1,176. So even if we reduce this rent, okay, even if we went back in here and we said, you know what, John, you're crazy. The rent, you're not going to get $4,500. You're only going to get $3,500. Even if we reduced that and wiped it out, if we got $3,500 in rent, what would happen is we would actually end up, when we looked at this, and I'll show you this later if you want, we would end up having zero rental income. Okay, so this this part here, actually, yeah, right here would be zeroed out. Okay, we would still make 13% on our money. Like 14% on our money, okay? That's after year one. If you hold on to it for 2 years, okay, then you would sell it for $530. Obviously, if it goes up 3% again, okay, which again, these are just the national averages, right? You would then make $66,000 on your $108,000 investment. So assume on your $100,000 investment. What is the return? 66% in 2 years, okay? 33% per year, right? It's actually less the first year than, right? Because it's if you compounded it, right? But, you know, where can you make 66% return on your money, right? Okay, look at his numbers again, right? I just have to show you how fucked up his shit is and how he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying the IRR is 2.8%. Okay, I'm showing you the real numbers, and I'm showing you it's 28% or 27% the first year, 66%. Okay, now this isn't an IRR. The IRR would be basically half of this. It's a little bit less than half of this, right? It'd be like 33, maybe 30% per year. Okay, now this will go down every single year because what will happen is that you have more equity in the property and you're not making as much money as a function of the equity that you have in the property unless you pull that equity out, right? Because at this point, right, when you first bought this property, you put $100,000 or $108,000 into the property, okay? On year two, you're starting with 515. Well, you're starting with 115 of your investment plus the 8, right? So you have equity, you have extra money sitting here, and so you're making less money as a percentage of what that is, right? Because it's not compounding quite as nicely as we'd like, all right? Because you have some money essentially sitting idle that's equity in the property. Okay, it's not being as effective as the first money that you put down. To make it simple, okay? So let's take a look here at what happens after 20 years. We're looking now on this line item here on December 2039, okay? And what we're looking at here is the final value here. Okay, so we depreciated $290,000 from the property. So our tax base is now $209,000. Uncle Sam says it's effectively that we bought this property for $209,000, right? Because we've deferred those taxes. Okay, we've taken the depreciation. We still have the same closing costs, still the same down payments. Now our mortgage balance has been paid down by a shit ton. We only owe $186,000 on that 30-year mortgage. Okay. So our total expenses we've paid is $295,000 over 20 years. At this point, we're selling the property for $903,000. Now that is a lot more realistic than what he had here of $673,000, right? In 20 years, you think a $500,000 property is going to be worth $673,000? It's not. It's going to be worth more like what I'm showing you here, $903,000. And this is a very conservative estimate. A property's, in my experience, gonna more than double in value in 20 years, right? Think about it historically. If your parents bought a house, or in 20 years, it'll more than double. But we can use this number here. What we had was our $903,000. We had an adjusted tax basis. That's what Uncle Sam says we bought the property for, because we depreciated a bunch of taxes. We didn't have to pay taxes on a bunch of income for a few years. Okay, on the property for the whole time, basically all the income we made from the property, we didn't really have to pay taxes on, just a small amount. So we had this taxable gain here. Okay, and then we had some expenses, $295,000. That's all the payments we made and all the expenses on the property over that many years, okay, over 20 years. So we had a net profit and loss, okay, from the sale of $608,000, because that's basically what our purchase price was, and then our net income. So we made this much money in cash flow from the property over these years, because it went up, every year. And so our total net profit, our loss, is $1.1 million. So in 20 years, okay, we went from $108,000 investment to a profit of $1.142 million. But guess what? This is a net profit. So that means we still get our $100,000 back at the end of this as well. And this is what we've profited. So we end up at the end with like $1.24 million. Okay, now if we go and we take a compound interest calculator and we want to figure out what does this mean, John? Okay, so $108,000. Okay, and if you give it 20 years and you compound it at a 14% interest rate, you get 1.4. Let's try it. 13% interest rate. You get 1.24. Okay. So this is the amount of money that we ended up with at the end of 20 years, right? This plus $108,000, right? So we effectively got a 13% compounded interest rate, okay, on our investment. That's what our IRR is. It's about 13%. This is conservative. Extremely conservative estimates, and we left all of our equity sitting in the property for 20 years. We didn't cash out refinance, okay? We didn't sell the property after 10 years and 1031 it into another property, right? Even if we just let it sit for 20 years, okay, we have made 13% compounded in. Now, where are you going to get 13% per year on a conservative estimate? Not in the stock market, not anything. This is not a 2% irrespective rate of return, okay? And, and if you wanted to see some other numbers here, if you said, well, John, the rents are too high, okay, fine. Let's not make the rents that. Let's make the rents $3,500, okay? So we basically break even on the property, okay? Even with that, okay, if we were to rerun this analysis, we're still going to do pretty damn good, okay? Even a shitty deal, basically. I would call that a shitty deal, all right? So if we did a shitty deal, we would end up with $851,000 profit at the end of this deal. Still not too bad, right? So we still got 11.5%. Okay, this is also why it doesn't matter how good the deal is so much, right? If you're making $1,000 less per month on the property in rental income, you still fucking kill it in 20 years. There's no magic here. There's nothing. What am I hiding here? What you show me? What am I hiding here? The purchase price? Okay, we explained why the first year is going to be 3% appreciation. Okay, we've even got the closing costs built into here. Okay, a lot of times people don't even count the closing costs, and you can reduce a lot of these, or you can roll these into the loan, which makes it actually even more profitable if you roll it into the loan because you have less upfront investment. Okay, the income here. $3,500 a month rental income, that, believe me, for a $500,000 property, that's a shitty deal, right? It could actually be $5,000 a month. I've bought properties for $75,000 that had $1,200 a month rental income, okay? So there's nothing, messed up here. Management fees of 10%, that's pretty standard. I mean, it's actually less than that, okay? That's, and then the income increase, 3% rent increase, okay? We could even lower that if we wanted to, but we're going to keep it the same as what we're going to appreciate the property at, okay? Because obviously those things can't diverge, all right? And then the monthly expenses. This is a pretty high estimate. Property taxes and insurance are definitely right on, and maybe you have a little bit more repairs or miscellaneous, but really this is a pretty good buffer here. Maybe you have some association fees for property. Maybe you have $100 a month or something like that. Okay, so maybe that could reduce that, that income, whatever, we could play with $1,000 here of income or loss, and we're still making a shit ton of money, still making like 11.5 to between 11.5 to 13% compounded return per year, right? So there's nothing I'm bullshitting you here, right? I just want you guys to see that I'm being totally transparent about this. Okay, the value is increasing 3% per year. Right? There's nothing. There's no fucking magic here. Now, if you do actually hold it for 30 years, this is kind of interesting. If you want to see how much money you make in 30 years, it's pretty fucking insane. Okay, now the compounding is going to slow down a little bit, but let's take a look. And this is, again, even with the meager income on this property. Okay. So if we do a 30-year one, what you're going to see here is that in this case we make $1.6 million off of $100 or $8,000 investment. Pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. Let's say you're just a shitty real estate investor and you just want to retire in 30 years. So let's say you buy one property for $500,000 and you put $100,000 down on it, 20% down, just this exact scenario. Okay. In 30 years, you're a millionaire, 1.6 million. Now I know inflation, okay, but even if you knock out $650,000 for inflation, you're still at $1 million. Pretty fucking good, okay. Let's say you did two of these deals. You saved up $100,000. You saved up another $100,000. To save up $200,000 over over the course of your career is not a huge amount that you could do for sure. Okay, you could have $3 million worth of net worth, plenty to retire on. And if you're worried, maybe you can't make enough money. Well, look at this. At the point that this property, right, is at the end of 30 years, you have the property paid off, so you're not going to have a mortgage payment anymore, and you're making $554,000 in cash flow every month. I mean, every year from the property. So you could just live off of this every year. Even with inflation, you're still doing pretty fucking good. Okay, so that's how simple it is to become rich with real estate. Now imagine if you buy a property every year. Now, not everyone's going to put $100,000 down on a property. A lot of times you're going to put maybe $20,000, right? That's how I started out, putting $20,000, $10,000 down on a property, but I was buying a property every single year, right? Imagine how much money you're going to become rich from real estate and you're going to retire, okay? It's not going to happen in 10 years, but it can happen in 20, and it can certainly happen. It will absolutely happen in 30, okay? So let's move on here and just listen to the rest of his video here.
It's pretty shitty. That's barely above the treasury rate. So if you put your shit in a 20-year government bond, would have earned 2.21%. In here, you're earning only 2.8%. Now, why is that? You're only earning 2.82% because most of your money is going to the mortgage. About half of your rental income is going to the mortgage. Then the property.
So he's just got it all backwards, right? I mean, I just showed you guys all the numbers, and you can see why this it doesn't make sense, right? It's not all your money is going to the mortgage.
Management, maintenance, vacancy. You're getting about 69.30. That's nothing, and you're not putting shit down. And I'm doing this deliberately. I'm showing you why leverage doesn't make you rich. So we have 0% down. We're not putting any of our own money at stake. We're basically getting $6,930.
See, so now he's saying he's putting 0% down. First of all, you can't get a 0% down loan, and you wouldn't. He's got the wrong. Your mortgage rate on a 20-year fixed would be a lot more. He's got something really fucked up here, because if you're borrowing $500,000, right, so his numbers are totally wrong.
If we didn't invest anything other than possibly our credit score, and we're getting almost $7,000 in free money. Winner, chicken dinner, right? All right, now let's look at the same property, but let's put 20% down and see what changes. So here we have a 20% down chart, and all that's really changed is...
Okay, now he's trying to do 20% down like what I showed you, right? And he's showing a higher internal rate of return of 3.57. He's still got the wrong things here. His 8% rental yield of $40,000 a year is wrong again.
Our mortgage has gone down, and our cash flow has gone up. The value of the property hasn't changed, simply the cash flow has changed. But now look at the internal rate of return. The internal rate of return has shot up from 2.8 to 3.5. Not bad, not great. And we had to put 100K down of our own money. But, you put 100K down, you get 10,800 back each year. That's a 10% return on investment, right? Well, we'll get...
It doesn't make any sense what he's saying, that if you're getting a 10% investment on your cash flow, you'd have an IRR of 3.57%. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But you're not getting this cash flow. These cash flow calculations are off, like we said, and his mortgage calculations off, his property management calculations off, vacancy rate calculation is off, all of that.
We'll get there, don't worry. And just for giggles, let's go to the extreme counterexample. Let's put 90% down. So if we put 90% down, which comes out to $450,000. So we're only mortgaging the house for $50K, and it's worth $500K. We're paying 90% up front.
First of all,
what this does, this increases the internal rate of return to 6.21. And increases our cash flow to $24,345. But we had to put up $450,000.
Okay, you can't even do that. You can't even do that. You can't even get a 90% down loan. So
now, the reason why I'm showing you all this is to make a point.
And it wouldn't increase your rate of return. It would decrease your rate of return if you did that. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's absolutely bizarro. If you borrow less money, you're less leveraged, so you'll make less money. You won't get a higher rate of return.
Notice that your internal rate of return goes up the more money you put up. The less money you put up, the more you leverage, the lower your internal rate of return. You're earning less money total. You're like, but TFM, I didn't put up that money. That's the bank's money. That's free money. No, it isn't. It's not free money. You're working. I'll explain that. In fact, you know what? I was going to jump to this later, but I might as well read this now. I'll link to a website, biggerpockets.com, and it's basically like Reddit, I guess, for investors. And this guy just puts out a little question. His name is Nick D'Angelo. He's a rental property investor from Newport Beach, California. He posed this question 8 years ago. How many hours a week does everyone spend solely on real estate? What does the breakdown that time look like, i.e. 80% marketing, 20% follow-up, etc.? Are you working more or less? Do you find success in real estate? Looking forward to hearing your responses. This guy is part of the Saint Investment Group. So one of the people is Jeffrey. He works 80 plus hours a week. 10% on deals and networking, 60%.
Okay, now this is a solid question. This is a good question to ask, and I'm glad that he asked this question. Okay, how many hours do you work a week on real estate? Well, let me tell you that, first of all, you need to get property management company, all right? And as far as my real estate investments, okay, and I own over $3 million worth of real estate, okay, at the most I own 29 units. Now I think I have somewhere around 12, 13 units or so. I consolidate a bunch of properties. I spend about 2 hours a month on the investments themselves, okay? That's it. Now, that doesn't include the time that it took me to get the investments initially, right, to close on the deals and to do the loan and all that stuff. Obviously, that does require some work and does require some effort. That's why you're going to become rich, right? But when you have the property, it is very, very passive if you have property management. I'm not shitting you, okay? I even self-manage my commercial property, and it just requires me to make some invoices to do that every month, which usually takes less than 10 minutes, okay? I get property managers, they email me. I get maybe 1 or 2 emails on all my properties, many, many units per month, and it's just usually a simple response to that.
Anyway, you get the point. You can check it out. You can read all the other responses. Anyone telling you that managing real estate is passive income is fucking lying to you. They're selling bullshit. They're selling you a bullshit dream. They're lying to you. They're straight up fucking lying to you. Managing real estate is a job. So to demonstrate what I'm talking about, let's go to one more chart. I'm going to show you the secret of how to make all the infinite money on your returns. So we have these 3, cash flows versus initial investment. We're going to look at the ROI. So we have 0% down, 20% down, 90% down.
So again, he's got some weird ass numbers, because how is the ROI higher than the IRR? Doesn't make any fucking sense, right? This is per year, by the way. And so he's using 0% down, which is not possible, and he's getting a less of a cash flow here, which it makes sense because you're going to pay a higher mortgage. Your return on investment is not infinite. You don't have a 0% down. But if you could buy properties 0% down, why the fuck would you not do it? Aside from the time costs, which he's the only argument that you could make there. At 20% down, if you can get a 10.8% return on your $100,000 investment, this is closer to what I'm talking about here, right? We saw this, actually, except we saw for the first couple of years like a 22% return and a 30% return. So that makes the most sense here. 90%, this doesn't even make any sense here. Okay, just buy it 100%. I have some properties 100%, right? 100 or 20 makes sense.
So let's start
Now, why would I want 100% down? Because I want the cash flow, because I want to live off of this cash flow. I don't really need it anymore, but at the time I thought I did. So I'm working on re-leveraging those properties.
And I have a special surprise for you. So if you put 90% down, which is $450,000, and your annual cash flow is $24,345, that means your return on investment is only 5.41%. Boo! But if you leverage by putting only 20% down, the bank puts up the rest of the money. You're only putting up $100,000, and then they're putting up $400,000, and then your cash flow is $10,800, which is a return on investment of 10.8. Ooh, that's better than stocks. And then if you put 0 down,
right, that's better than stocks. A lot better than stocks. Plus, it's not taxed. Stocks are also taxed. Okay, you sell a stock, you pay tax. You sell real estate, you do a 1031 exchange, you don't pay the tax. And when you die, it goes to your progeny, and the tax gets reset.
This is where the magic happens. You put 0 money down, your cash flow is $6,930. That's a return on investment of infinity. You put nothing down, the bank financed everything. Now, this is not going to happen in real life, but just hypothetically. Even though the cash flow is a lot smaller, since you put nothing down, your return on investment is infinite. Now, you might be telling me, TFM, come on, be serious. You can't get a 0% down mortgage where the bank's going to assume all the risk, they're going to give you all the money, and you're just going to get cash flow with no money down. That's not realistic. Well, here's where the magic happens. So I just explained to you that managing real estate is not passive income, it's a job. So let's compare a 0% down mortgage on a $500,000 property yielding a cash flow of $6,930 with infinite return on investment to getting a part-time minimum wage job. Because getting a part-time minimum wage job costs you no money. You don't have to buy in to the minimum wage job guild to get a minimum wage job. So you go out there, you get a minimum wage part-time job working 20 hours a week. That will get you an annual cash flow of $7,200.
Now, he's got a point here, except that he's got a problem here. And this shows that, again, why you should be really careful about who you listen to. Make sure you listen to someone who actually knows what they're talking about and has actually done this, because cash flow is not the only thing in real estate. Okay, the problem is a minimum wage job. Sure, maybe you'll make $7,200, a month. He's assuming you're going to spend a lot of time managing in real estate, which you don't have to. But he's missing the most important thing. You're buying the real estate not for the cash flow. You're buying it for the leveraged appreciation. Over time, you're going to make money from 1, cash flow, which is here. That's fine. You're going to make money from 2, depreciation. Depreciation is basically a tax benefit, which will offset the tax that you would pay on income, okay, which is real money in your pocket that you're saving. Number 3, you're going to make money on the principal pay down. So even though you're getting this cash flow, okay, you would be paying down the principal. If you did a $0 investment, you'd be paying down the principal each month, adding more money to your pocket. And then third, most importantly, you'd be making money in the leverage appreciation, because if you bought a property $0 down, you would be getting appreciation on that property, and that's basically infinite leverage on that.
More than the zero down $500,000 real estate. You will get a greater infinite cash flow from getting a part-time minimum wage job, working only 20 hours a week, than investing in a $500,000 real estate investment using other people's money.
I started buying and selling real estate in my very early 20s, just a couple of years after getting married. And it worked. A little bit of family connection with some bankers and stuff that knew me and trusted me. I don't know why. I was 22 years old, 23 years old. But they started loaning me money, and I got rich. I ended up with about $4 million worth of real estate, about $3 million worth of debt. So that's the difference is $1 million net worth. And at 25, 26 years old, I was making $250,000 a year, cash taxable income. That was amazing. I mean, the neighborhood I grew up in, $20,000 a month, that's rich. I was rich. I mean, we did all the stuff we had dreamed of doing. And I'd always wanted a Jaguar.
That's not rich.
I dreamed of having a Jaguar. I set the goal back when I was
not
growing
rich.
up. I got a Jaguar, man. And everything seemed to be going right. It was incredible. And our first baby was born to Denise, and then the banks got sold. The main bank we were dealing with, we had $1,200,000 with them in 90-day notes because we were buying property and flipping it. And that bank got sold to another bank.
Okay, what was this guy doing? And I know who this guy is, by the way. I just want to call him out because he's helped a lot of people. But yeah, buying properties and flipping them, no, that's not investing. Okay, he got caught with his pants down. It doesn't work this way, right? He's going to tell a story here. Let's listen.
And guys in another state, in another city, looked down and said, there's a kid, 26 years old here, owes us $1,200,000. This is ridiculous. Let's limit this relationship, which is banker talk, call his notes and script his life. So they called their notes, gave me 90 days to come up with $1 million. There's no way. Started to crash, I couldn't stop. Word got out on the street that I was in trouble, and I was in trouble. And our second largest lender, we had $800,000 out with them. They called our notes about 60 days later after the first one. So we had less than 6 months to come up with $2 million, and it's all in real estate. You can't sell real estate fast enough to pay that bill. We never lost money on a deal. We never been late a minute on a note ever. That didn't matter though. They just decided that they were going to limit their relationship. They were in freak out mode in the economy that we were in right then. And those two hits started to crash that. We fought for 2.5 years since we've been sued hundreds of times. It felt like, I don't know exactly how many it was. It was close to 100 easy.
Wow. See, this is not good. Okay, this is not valid, like legitimate real estate investing, by the way. Okay, he's running a scam here. Okay, he's doing speculation here. He's not got 30-year fixed loans like I'm showing you here. Okay, he's using some hard money lines of credit, and he's getting the money called in. And yes, you can sell real estate in 30 days if you need to, as long as you're not underwater on it, which he was clearly underwater on this. So,
and one of those little lawsuits decided on that they were going to execute on the judgment, and they arranged for the sheriff's department to come take furniture out of our house on Friday morning. So September 22nd of 1988, we met with a bankruptcy attorney. He filed them on Friday morning. So we filed bankruptcy on the 23rd. Keep the sheriff out of our house. Keep him protecting the baby. I was out of gas. I didn't have enough emotional energy.
So here is a asset quilt. The way these work is they rank the different asset classes by returns per year, and they rank them top to bottom. So the asset class on the top is going to be the highest yielding asset of that year, and then all the way down to the bottom. And you can see real estate is in like dark purple. It's been hitting the top a lot of times for the past couple years. We're kind of in like a secondary bubble, especially on the West Coast, because China's buying a lot of real estate. But look at the risk on the far right. Real estate is the most risky asset class.
Now, risk, this is absolutely ridiculous. Because first of all, it's not just talking about real estate itself. It's talking about REITs. Okay, it's not the same thing when you buy an REIT as when you buy and own the real estate yourself. Okay, there's virtually no risk in what, I could spend another hour telling you how. In fact, leave a comment below if you want to hear about why real estate is virtually riskless. But essentially, there's very little to no risk if you're going to hold a property with a 30-year fixed loan. Okay, I survived the housing crack in 2008 when it went down, when the bubble burst. I was there before then. I'm there afterwards. I've bought property at every point along the way. Oh, let's go back here. All right, we're almost done with this.
Absolutely the most risky asset class. And it's not even the highest returning asset class. It's just the riskiest. The highest returning asset classes are small cap, mid cap, and international emerging markets.
No. So the problem with this is, okay, these are the the returns, the average return from 2004 to 2018 on these classes of assets, okay, straight across the board. So this is actually a better picture than what I painted, right? Because I assumed appreciation of 3%. This is 8.1% appreciation essentially on real estate. This is what the REITs did. You could look at this as the average appreciation. I mean, it's not an exact map, but it's pretty damn close, right? Now, if you're leveraged here and your asset does an 8.1% per year return, that's insane, right? Remember, if you're 5x levered, if you put 20% down, it's 5 times 3% if it's a 3% return. So if it's 8% return, it's 5 times 8 and you make 40% in a year. This is the true numbers.
And real estate is the fourth highest returning asset class. But in terms of risk, real estate is the riskiest asset class, followed by international emerging markets, then small cap, then commodity, then international development, mid cap, large cap, so on and so forth. If you want to invest in real estate, there's these things called REITs, real estate investment trusts. I've already talked about them before. I personally don't think they're that great. Again, look at the...
Right. They're not that great. Do not invest in REITs. It's not the same thing as investing in real estate. It is not the same thing. So I have to explain this to so many of you fuckers so many times. I'm going to bash your fucking head in. It's not the same thing. You're not leveraged in a REIT. Okay. You're not borrowing money from the bank. You're just buying it straight up. It's basically a syndicated block of real estate that's being managed for you, and the fees are being taken out and you're getting whatever is left over. It is not the same thing as you buying your own property and taking advantage of leverage from the bank. That's how you're making the money in real estate.
Highest returning asset classes. The top three are stocks. Small cap stocks, mid cap stocks, international emerging market stocks. But if you want to invest in real estate, you can invest in it through a REIT. Now, what a REIT will not give you, a REIT will not let you pretend that you're rich. A REIT will not let you brag to people that you own $1 million in property and you're a baller in your 30s and you're retired. Because you're not. You're not a fucking millionaire when your net worth is only $100,000 or...
And this is definitely directed towards me, which yeah. So, you know, my net worth is well over $3 million, well over that much. I own $3 million just in paid off real estate. We're not even talking cash on hand, which is about $1 million. We're not even talking about business value of both of my companies, which is probably several $1 million based on one company with a revenue of over $500,000 a year and another company over $300,000 a year, almost all profit.
Or 10,000, whatever the fuck you actually put up in equity. You're not a fucking millionaire. You are a millionaire when your net worth is $1 million. Is your net worth $1 million? No, then you're not a fucking millionaire. Meanwhile, you are borrowing money to invest in the riskiest asset class, which is only fourth. It doesn't even get a medal. It takes fourth in terms of highest yielding assets, and it's the most risky. The fuck are you doing? I'm not against real estate investing per se, but a couple things. One, it is not an investment, it is a job. Talk to someone.
No, it should be an investment, should not be a job, and you are against real
actually
estate
manages
investing.
properties, and not a fucking YouTuber with bullshit to sell you and an image to sell you, trying to tell you to fucking like buy his seminar. Fuck him. Talk to someone who actually does this for a living. Ask around your family if anyone in your family, flips houses or something, and talk to them. Ask them, off the record, how many hours a week did they spend managing these properties? I guarantee it's at least a part-time job. At first, when I was arguing with this guy on my Discord server who was talking about how, my way doesn't work because it takes too long, and he doesn't want to have money in his 40s and 50s. He wants to have money in his 20s and 30s.
Right.
Basically, he's just going to borrow a bunch of money and then live on it and pretend he's rich. And that might work for a couple years until shit goes tits up and then he's bankrupt. It's no different these people who take out all the student loans. They go to college, they only need X number of dollars to go to college, but the student loan says, hey, you qualify for this, and they take all the student loans. And they live
No, I agree with him on that point.
on it, they live this lifestyle they can't afford for a couple years.
I agree
and then
there.
they get out of college and they have no ability to pay their bills, and they cry to the government like, oh, I'm a victim, the evil college gave me money.
Right.
That's it. It's fucking stupid people doing stupid shit and then crying to the government like they're a victim of their own greed and stupidity.
He's right there.
Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, I'm done. Hope you learned something. This is Turd Flinging Monkey. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. 13 Rules to Not Be a Fucking Cuck is my latest book, and my greatest book. My previous works have been mostly comedy, satire, parody. This is a book I didn't just do for the lulz because it was funny, but actually because I think it'll make a difference and will help people.
There's
We live in a world
his
with a lot of
book.
different competing
If you want to buy his book, go buy his book. Anyway, guys, that's it. This is a long-ass video, but hopefully you learned something here. If you have any questions, let me know. I tried to cover pretty much everything here. I tried to be as fucking thorough as possible, so there's no way you can escape the truth of the situation. If you want more of this, you want the details of how to do this, go check out the Bulldog Mindset membership, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.